It always takes forever to go live. I think we're there.
We're live.
All right.
4 seconds in.
I'm alive. Hey,
What's up? What's up, everybody?
Barely.
Happy 4th. Almost.
It's Canada Day, right? I think it is.
Don't you border Canada? You would know.
Right?
I'm nowhere near Canada. Mike pretty much lives there.
I live everywhere. Okay, cool. Right on. There we go. It did it what it needed to do. All right. So how's the week for everybody?
Good. Making things happen.
Not doing anything fun?
Fucking with payment processors. That's always fun.
All week.
Oh, but I mean, we're in a different country. We're in a highly restricted niche, so it can be. It's to be expected. So
it is to be expected. You know, you should write your own, Brad.
Yeah, I should if I could do stuff like that smart people do, but I can't.
If I could do that, I would.
Yeah, if I could do it, I'd have 3 of them. I don't know why.
No, Fletch and I had a good conversation yesterday, and then Corey and I.
He doesn't remember.
Yeah, right. No, that was secondary. Corey and I have a nice call this afternoon. It's going to be fun, right? That's going to be enjoyable. But I did want to talk about ranking speed, and got a question that's how long does it take to rank pages in Google? And I was going through some of the topics, and I was thinking there was some stuff that we could talk about here. And what we'll do is I'm just going to go one by one, and we'll go through some freaking questions, man. So the first one is going to be about new pages. We will go with how long does it take to rank a new page? And what they're saying on Canuck Digital is a study carried out by Ahrefs that on average it took 3 years for a page to rank in the #1 position on Google, and only 5.7% of pages rank in the #1 spot within a year. So they're saying 3 years to one, and at least a year to get. Okay, so only 5% rank within a year. What are your guys' thoughts on 3 years to rank?
Most of the people that do that in under a year are people that are in NFG. I see like Darren, Mary, and that's always the question. Like, what do you mean when I say rank? I mean #1 position. When you say rank, what are you talking about when that question comes in, right? So,
I mean, with a customer, my goal is the first page. I might not be #1 that quickly, but the goal is the first page. Especially if they've got a local presence, I want to be in that 3-pack. That's all I care about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I guess it depends on there's a lot of factors, I think, right? You got to look at the existing domain, like what's the shape of the website already.
You got to look at the keyword first, I think.
Well, yeah, the keyword, obviously. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, you know how relatable it is, but yeah, the keyword, you know, the shape of the domain. Like I could go and write a page for Yelp, and I could rank that sucker #1 in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But like Darren. So it's there all the factors that are there, but like if you know what you're doing, so I assume you're starting from like a brand new website.
For this one it says how do we rank a new page in Google?
What is it?
Yeah, but a new page it depends on the site it's going on too.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how do we rank a new page in Google on a new domain.
Well,
brand new, like just purchased the domain, right?
Yeah. How long? Why? What makes a difference, right? So to me, when I look at it, there's a big difference in a new domain in a new page, 100% based on how you build everything about that domain, right?
Yeah.
I think that everyone in here could have new pages in the front of Google within a few weeks at least, with some of the stuff that they do. Easily. But I also do know that there are some people that will come and ask questions after 4 or 5 months and say, why aren't my pages in the index, right? So
even back up to the question a little bit, Mike. Like, so that's a big survey, and it's statistics. And so with statistics and looking at everything that's out there and how long it takes, that is including a bunch of stuff that's done poorly.
Right.
It's including a bunch of stuff that that an SEO never worked on. It's some, blog writer or something that doesn't know anything about some of the principles.
Also, it probably includes some terms that are just astronomically difficult.
Yeah, casino or something like, refinance my home or something like that.
Yeah,
things like
cash
that.
out refinance. Yeah, nationally.
And so then you have to consider the difficulty of the keyword, but then also really the intent. And I think a lot of people are missing out on a lot of opportunities when they're not considering the intent of the searcher. And some of the stuff that Mike and I were talking about on the call, I think right before we went live, he mentioned it, but like we talked like 2 hours almost.
Yeah, we did. It was a long conversation.
It was a long conversation.
That is easy. A quick conversation with Mike and I is like 30 minutes.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint said that really nicely, I think. If you have quality content is king. If you just put a piece of content up and don't build any internal links or any external links and you just don't share it on social, that is how you rank a quality piece of content in Google. With the sarcasm tag there.
He knows he sold you a handmade piece of shit or whatever. A guaranteed piece of shit. Yeah, that's it.
Is that in W3 schools that do HTML there?
That is. It's HTML5 subversion 1287.
That would help me with a lot of the pages I write. If I could,
it's italicized and bolded, so you don't have to put them both in there.
It just all goes in that way.
Yeah,
it includes the CSS and everything,
and it puts quotes around it. So
yeah, perfect.
All right, that's one of our favorite places says cognitive SEO actually does talk about how long it takes to rank a page, and in that one, and it talks about speeding it up. And it says if you have a poorly optimized website, it will take you between 6 to 12 months to fix any issues or
6 months to infinity. Yeah,
6 months to infinity is a good answer. I think so. All right, so let's.
Let's go ahead, Corey.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to answer the query or the question that whoever asked that, like, how long does it take to rank something? You'll start to have your own answer to that question once you start working and seeing how the work that you do actually works, and then you'll have something to go by. If you're brand new at this, we could tell you, 3 months for a brand new domain, 3 weeks for a brand new page on a domain that's existing, that's got some authority built into it already and some expertise. But if you're just getting started, pretty soon you won't have to ask that question anymore. After you get the reps in. So I would just say, just start working, figure out where you're landing, and then figure out what it takes to get to the at least those, page one for anything.
Chip away at it. That's what I always try.
Well, interesting. Well, with yesterday, after talking to Fletch, I was looking at some stuff, and there were some significant changes in SERPs, and the core, it looks like, did start rolling out at my time yesterday. I think there is some communication. I've been getting messages.
What time? Your time?
My time, I didn't record it, but
it was just at your time yesterday.
My time, MST. Like
okay. I know what your time is.
In my head.
Oh, okay. Oh, it rolled out at my time yesterday. What the fuck does that mean? Go on. Sorry.
And realistically, though, it's funny because I got messages today about movements, and then I guess people started to send me tweets and stuff, which I am looking at. The messages coming with them, hey, the core's rolling out, and things like this. So it was funny. I think there's some significant stuff that people will notice. So I guess like with what Clint's saying is like it depends on your experience. Like, so does this make anyone nervous in here that they're rolling another core out, or how long do you think it will take to rank pages in like this new tweak that they're making, right? And so. What are your thoughts? Are you scared, Fletch? Are you terrified?
It's good. It's good for people who are doing good stuff. Period.
That's typically how it ends up being.
I would imagine that even more will. People don't realize that the EAT component, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, which was always a part of the pay-per-click campaign, has been a part of the algorithm for a while. I would imagine that would probably continue to gain a more significant factor in the actual organic side. And then the questions that begs are, well, okay, so how do I build a website and a web page that include those factors? And then now we're talking about content, right? So no, I'm not scared, right? It's going to move some stuff around, and it's going to let us go back and address certain client sites and things that didn't get built in a way that was a great way to start with. But when you think about what Google wants to do, is they want to make money, right? They're a business, but they also
a business that makes a ton of money.
A ton of money. And what they want to make sure is that the people that they send to any of the pages in their SERP are going to get the experience they are looking for, right? Wherever in the buying cycle they might be. Coming into SEO, which I was unaware of before I ran out of money and needed more leads coming into my construction company. The model I followed was a very simple but very effective model, which was, optimize your page for a couple things and then send links to it with, some good anchor text, and then you're going to rank for the thing that you're optimized for. And I've grown, hopefully everybody is, and you learn things and you start to see more and more things. And I've realized that there's a lot more that comes into play that can be very efficient, very effective when you're building an entire kind of corpus or your entire entity about all of this stuff that's relevant. Because like the individual experience, like for you to send a keyword report to a client that says, hey, you rank number 5 for this term, it's inaccurate, if not a blatant lie. Mm-hmm. Because it depends on who that person looking for whatever has done in the past. Like Google is very much customizing the SERP based
on where they are,
you,
everything,
what they know about you, whether you're incognito or whether you're in a different location, how much information they have about you and what you click on, like all of those kinds of things come into play. So again, then like, okay, so now you need to look at traffic and conversion, and that's why intent is so much more important than I think a lot of people give it credit for, especially in terms of search engine optimization and how you're building out the content on websites.
No, it's 100% true. It's Brad and I actually were just looking at it. I was trying to show him something, and I had a new instance of a protected browser, and I forgot to do something, and they were delivering me customized results with all this protection, bro. It was kind of funny, dude.
We also had a discussion on how much Bing sucks compared to Google. Like if you get like the random browser that you're in and you search for something just in the URL bar, and you're like, this is horrible. And you're like, oh wait, I'm in Bing. And then you have to go to Google.com, copy the shit, go over to Google.com, search for it. You're like, oh yeah, there's my answer. So they're far ahead. Like their moat from
they have a lot more information on us than we realize.
It is insane. Yeah.
They're not dumb. Yeah.
There's a cool question that came through because like you just mentioned local, and Chris has a question about that directly. Then some of the stuff like relates to us, and it literally does relate to like quickly ranking in the SERPs. And so it's what's up, guys? Got a great question that you would just love to answer. Brad would love it, right? Any tips on sending maps in different cities that you don't have access to get a postcard? I know, $1 million question. He's got a new subcontracting company. One thing that I think that is important for like the newer guys to address in there, like when you're talking, the reason I think Chris is talking about postcards, like it comes from a lead gen space, but when you start to build, Fletch mentioned EAT, and when you start to build that recognition there, it starts to do things a little bit faster if you're recognized by them. Once they recognize you, once they have classified you and they've scored you and all these things, then they they do understand you better. So when you're going in like this and you're building this like lead gen property out or working with clients, and you can get map listings. I mean, I think I've talked to multiple people that have clients and that are local that don't have maps and things, and those are things that have to be corrected, right? So
I love when I get a client that either has no map or they have like a completely unoptimized map. I'm like, this makes my job
an unclaimed listing.
Like, yes, exactly.
Because they know it's a business. And
yes,
they haven't claimed it yet. Yeah.
And so that begs the question though: how does somebody have an unclaimed listing if? And this goes back to Chris and probably what Mike was going to get into. You have an unclaimed listing. Where did that come from? Did Google just decide after all of the citations that were built that there's actually a business over here? After the people that have gone and Googled it, you get a card. So how can you use that? Like, and I guess I would have part of the same question, Mike. Like, I'm sure that a lot of these unclaimed listings have a ton of citations out there that Google just crawls and they're like, okay, there's actually a business right here.
The indexing question and the EAT question, it all ties together to me. But one of the interesting conversations I had this week, and I don't remember who it was with, was they were asking me about I want to do this lead gen, and I can't get listings right now in the category I want to get it in. And what I said to them was, go put the property up and start aging the property and build the property. So there's this old thing, like it used to work really well, like just dropping citations and getting listings from Google because you drop the entity, right?
Yeah,
that's all entity.
Yeah.
And so what I said was, these categories switch, everything changes, it becomes easier, it becomes harder. It should not pause you, but what you should do is put up the entity, build that, start ranking for the contextual stuff you want to rank for, essentially in organic, and when it's time, then you can connect the listing. But you can establish the location and everything without the listing. Now, to get to Chris's question, though, how would you get the postcard in?
I would not worry about the postcard.
No.
I would go out and find a vendor, make sure it's within your budget, whatever the client is. I'm sure that you're getting paid per lead if it's this type of client. Otherwise, they should be paying you a ton monthly if you're going to be getting map listings for them. So I would make sure that with the client that they're properties that you own, and then I would go find a vendor who can do them right now. Buy whatever you can that's within your segmented budget for that particular activity. Start with their highest converting locations, or where they really want to like dig down and get more leads from. A lot of times I go with, okay, what location is going to pay you the most if I'm dealing with a PPL type client. I do the same thing if I'm going through a network too. I see what zip codes had the highest payouts. So I would go find a reputable vendor, ask around, and I would just put that into the budget, because I don't want to be biting my nails trying to fucking get listings, to be honest. And I never do, whether they're easy or difficult. I never want to like sit there and just grind that out all day, unless I'm working with someone and we can kind of split the work.
This other part of it here, we might get the subcontractors to pick it up. That's pushing it. I'm testing. The subs, here's the thing. Like, that part of lead gen definitely is like a business discussion. Work on that. But what I would do is with the locations and the different services you offer, straight up do your initial research and start grouping stuff and building content. Like, I honestly would shoot you over to someone like Leo or something with like Keyword Cupid. But anytime, any way that you can actually go in and build that entity and start getting that content in the index and starting to rank, when you do get that map listing up, no matter how you get that map listing up, if you have that contextual content for your services in the index, the ranking when the map listing goes up is going to come way easier for you.
Also, thinking about just broad level umbrella niches, subcontractors pretty freaking broad. So I would start building out a network that encompasses all the different services, and again, try and shoot for the highest paying first, unless it's something like water damage. It's going to be completely it's going to be more difficult at a local setting. But I would go after, if say it's plumbing, I would go after emergency burst pipe and stuff like that, stuff that you can pop and then just start churning out content on those network sites, and you're going to get you're going to start ranking, and you're going to start getting leads in with or without maps. I do think that you should go for maps, especially for the larger terms, but that's another way to kind of even everything out.
Yeah, and when you do it, like a lot of times, if these guys are just dropping pins and they're not setting up a service area, sometimes you'll find.
Yeah, locksmith's going to be tough, dude.
I remember sitting. I literally do remember.
Yeah, locksmith is tough, but I mean, just make sure that you ask them not to drop pins on a freeway.
Exactly. No, I remember when they started asking. It was like 2010, 11 or something like that. They started asking for licensure in locks for us, and I was on the phone with freaking my partner Jordan, right, at the time, and I'm like, okay, so what is the phone number for this DBA? What is the phone number for this DBA? I'm in the city hall. I'm in this county building in San Diego, literally at the desk.
You should have gone with the freaking spreadsheet.
Back in Kansas City, and he's like, man, I got a job. What are you doing? He's like, well, no, let's do, I went through like 23 different freaking DBAs on the desk, on the phone, getting the licensure and stuff, everything set up so we could get the listings up, right? And it was like out of order because we had an emergency, we needed volume, we had to do it that way and start a new brand. But it's interesting though, because back then at that point, it was definitely a different game, but it was somewhat similar where it was have the entity up and have the pages in the index, ranking for whatever, and get that going to build and engineer a way to get the listing. So I think people came in and they're like, I need map listings, and go get it. They forget that the map listing, while it is a huge money-making part of it, probably my favorite part of it, there's an entity that's supposed to be behind that. If you're not focusing on creating like contextual content and building all that funnel there with actual content, when things are harder, it becomes much harder to get the fun thing, which is the GMB. So don't forget the basics, like freaking indexing and building content. Viral said it really well.
And like one of the things you can do if you're kind of coming into this kind of fresh, kind of new, right, is like go on Google and type in your niche plus scam and see if there's a bunch of scams that, like, locksmith, there's a lot of scams out there, right? Sometimes a locksmith will make the exact same key, and now they have a key to your place of business or your house or your car, or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Like one of the and it's been, I won't say abused, but it's been really, heavily hammered.
It is one of the ones that have been abused for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's so much money in it. I mean, you go where the money is, and if there's money in a niche, rehab, locksmith, water damage, anything like that, it's going to be tougher
for sure.
Yeah. HVAC. Yeah.
And that's where that EAT comes into play. Like Mike talked about, build the entity out. Now, okay, this looks.
Well, I think that this is super, super important. The concept, like what we're talking about, of like getting pages in the index and ranking for Google, like understanding like how that works with the content, like and what you were just saying, that literally affects how 301s will work for you, how your link building will work for you. It affects absolutely everything that you do in search. And so if you don't pay attention to things like that, then you are missing out on a ton of power that you could have when you're doing your links and doing other like fun things like GMB.
And it's going to make it feel a lot harder. It's going to take longer. You're going to have to like throw more money at the project. Like it like everything suffers if you don't pay attention to that. Yeah.
No, it's all a piece of content, and if you don't understand it, it can be literally an uphill battle and change the average time of what's going on with your campaign. I mean, it really can. So that's why those things fluctuate so much, right? Yeah. And I don't know if we have any more questions in here. If not, I'm going on to the ones we have put together.
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, if you want to check, that'd be great.
One of the things that, and I know that we've talked about this before, I think in here, but getting stuff to rank, especially if it's a new domain, obviously you do all your entity stuff, but do some paid advertising and just send some Google traffic directly to that thing. And I've brought websites from nowhere, national websites from nowhere in the top 100 to, like top of page 2 in a month with $20 worth of paid,
it doesn't take that much.
It doesn't take
There
much.
is hard data that I am seeing, and I know people are seeing that, like, there's a lot of factors into how Google will like rank a page and pay attention to a page. When people say, why am I discovered and not crawled? Like, it's a huge indicator, dude. I don't ever see discovered not crawled on things that I'm actually trying to do, because you can't miss certain things. Like, you have to do this right. It is a process of getting pages in there, and you definitely want to keep all of the flow, like the internal structure, everything that we talk about on this show. Like, you definitely want to keep that in mind when you do it. Even like the core web vitals and like making user friendly like SEO pages and stuff, seriously is getting more important like every freaking time they run this core. And so I personally believe that we've just been seeing chunks of the same thing rolling out for the last year and a half, 2 years or whatever. Like, I don't really think that, I mean, I've already seen a ton of changes like in days and weeks, but from where I look at it, I don't think we're going to see a lot of changes. But the core web vitals really are a big indicator. Had render issues, like trying to like get pages in the index. Brad and I have a campaign where we are pushing a campaign, and we should be way beyond where we are because of literally technical issues with rendering and things that just couldn't get fixed.
Custom CMSs are fun. Yeah.
Yes, they can cause indexing issues, like literally custom CMSs. If you don't know it and you don't understand it, they can take a while to fix because you keep finding stuff. And so you can see certain changes that you make that have to do with things literally about core web vitals, like rendering of the final content versus in the HTML. I have seen things rank overnight as soon as render issues were fixed on the cache state of that page, right? And so if the rendering is an issue like that before the core web vitals, have they already rolled it out? Is it really rolling out in August, or has it been going on for a year and a half? Where do they start it? Like when BERT came out, they've been using BERT already, right? And they've even announced that they've replaced some of that stuff. You know what I mean? So paying attention to that and just kind of seeing what the trends are with people in the industry, I think is a really good way to stay on top of like speed and stuff. But we've got a question in there. What do you think about sending Google ads to a blog page or hub pages linking to a money page? Should it help ranking of money keywords? I'm going to say there's certain things.
If it converts, in my opinion, you want to make sure it converts, and you want to make sure you have the rest of your funnel set up in the background too. You want to be retargeting if they're interested in it has to make sense to do it.
One of the reasons Brad and I like really did start NFG and have been doing it for like 6 years now is because we've traditionally seen a split. Like SEO people will ask, should I send traffic here for SEO purposes?
Mike can't hear.
What's that?
What does NFG stand for?
No fucks given.
And then plus P?
That's
personalization. Personalization. That's like the cloaking and stuff. You personalize the page based on So NFG, we originally did NFG because we noticed a bunch of people going through all these other programs, and then they would just freeze because it's like so much information. They're like, fuck, what do I do now? So NFG was kind of like peeling back the layers and getting rid of that paralysis by analysis. So it's like, who gives a shit? Don't give a fuck. Go out there, build some stuff, see if it works. If it does, great, keep doing that. If it doesn't, move on. Something's up, and you can do that in every sub niche that you go into. What works in one industry might not work in another. So we just we had the first event where we kind of piggybacked off the OMG thing because they didn't want to do the Derek and Mike event. So I said, well, I'll do one if everyone wants.
Les and I were talking about that yesterday, man.
That was fun. That was an awesome event. Yeah, it was just by chance,
People were ranking on day 2, it was sick, dude. Like, people came back for day 2 of the event and they were literally ranking for the terms that we had told them to go, like, that they had picked for like the process that we were talking about. And you had showed it all like in a workshop, dude. It was sick.
And that's one of the concepts, like, from like an info marketer perspective that I've come to become a lot more enamored of, is not a webinar, it's a workshop, right? It means you're going to come away with it you're going to come away with actionable stuff.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just like I'm mind blown about all this new thing. It's like,
that's
okay,
part of the problem.
Here's what you can actually do. Right.
I was reading Deep Work. I finished that last week, and this one little snippet was interesting, and it was talking about IBM brought in these consultants, right? And they were combating cheaper, like low-cost leader type situations, coming in and making chips or whatever they were back in the 70s, 80s. It doesn't matter when it was, but this consulting firm came in, and they said, you need to do this, 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 and this. And the IBM execs or whoever was listening was like, okay, great. They're like, how? And what you don't realize is a lot of programs are giving the what. This is what you need to do. Okay, fucking awesome. How do I do that? That's like the number one, question. And that's where the paralysis by analysis comes in. And that's why, with my caveman brain, I've got to just strip it down, make it simple, so I can plug and chug and get it done. So you got to have the what and the how, because the how is what takes the time.
Exactly.
Like, that's what a lot of people, like, I guess, maybe never get to the point of understanding. Sometimes they do, is you get paid to solve problems. Mm-hmm. And I hear people in business all the time complaining about problems. It's like, if there weren't any problems, there wouldn't be a business. Mm-hmm. Right? That's what you get paid to solve people's problems.
People either run towards pleasure or away from pain.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
This is, I like this question here. I know the conversations a lot of like us in this like chat have had when Viral asks literally, would it help internal PageRank to run traffic? I think it's important to think about like the concepts of what PageRank was supposed to be when it started. It's not like a lot of people think of this as it's a backlink, and that's what a backlink is, right? A backlink is a backlink, and there's nothing else to it. But like if you look at things like the PageRank patents and stuff, you actually start to see and understand that this has always been about user X or user experience, UX, whatever. PageRank has always been about user experience, and actually Cam, I've had some amazing conversations with about this, and he's seen it that way from the beginning of his career as well, is that Google's always been trying to craft an algorithm or algorithms that give the user the best experience that they can have. So if you understand that about link building, if you understand that about content creation and marketing, then you really can start to like see, okay, I need to do these things directly to make sure that Google thinks I am quality enough to be indexed and in their SERP highly and delivered by them, so that users can see it and have a good experience on my website. And that's all freaking SEO is, really. Like that's what the goal of Google is to do that so they can make money. Like, it's pretty simple if you break it down. Right?
And just to piggyback on that, Mike, like Viral's question, and this goes exactly into what you're saying. If you're sending paid traffic to, let's say, a tier 2 link, what the important thing that happens is that link is there for a purpose, and that's to send traffic somewhere else. So if traffic is actually coming from your paid and it's and then that traffic is going from that link to your target, then that 100% will help. So just getting the traffic there might help a little bit, but you want click-through traffic, so make it pretty obvious.
Well, and this is a big point. I got side. We started talking about something else, but with NFG, one of the reasons why we really did it is there's a disconnect. I've been on both sides. There's a disconnect between why SEOs would buy traffic to make like pages work, and why a media buyer or an affiliate would buy traffic to convert. And so if you get your mindset out of I'm one of this or I'm one of that, and you combine and you open up your skill set to like all aspects of marketing, dude, they've crafted it so that they reward your skill set. If you're doing more of what works, you do better in search. That's it. I mean, it's just how it works. You make more money. So look at it, like we said, as a money site. Go ahead, Fletch.
No, I just said it's funny how capitalism works. It rewards people who are competent.
Yeah, that's what it is, dude. I didn't mean it that way. But
competent in certain areas, because I've seen people that are, as a human being, seem completely incompetent, but they're good at this one thing, or they've got this one. Not you. You seem much more competent than I do, but they're good at this one fucking thing, and they just like sit there and grind it out. All like it's crazy. Or maybe you're not competent at anything aside from assembling a group of highly competent people, that can focus
Henry
on
Ford,
one specific goal.
example,
Henry
right?
Ford, Carnegie, Elon Musk, everyone. I'm sure I haven't read much on Rockefeller, but I would assume he had to have a hell of a team behind him to build that empire. But yeah, it's So I forgot what we were talking
Clint
about.
is spot on, and I had a conversation recently. I think that conversation was with like Fletch, and then also like Leo or something. But I was talking about how people don't build the right skill sets, and then people end up with campaigns that are broken that they have to fix and do things that are drastic to fix those campaigns. I think Corey and I were talking about this as well. And that's one of the issues I think with the industry is that it's not looked at holistically. I don't like that word anymore because it's become like a buzzword in the market right now, holistic. But it's true. It's a great way to put it. If you don't look at every aspect of internet marketing and tie it together for a property, then you're not doing what you should do for all of the aspects of our industry. Like literally, if you understand paid media, if you understand tech, and if you understand conversion and funnels, then you will be a better SEO. 100%, you will rank better. I have no question and no doubt in my mind that is true.
Well, like in one way, one of the things, David Mills, who was kind of the engineer and crafter of OMG machines when it was running, and has since been able to retire because he made enough money, and that whole thing. But one of the things in his strategy series, which is LOI, which is still something he's a part of, trying to work on disseminating and getting out there more into the world, is that most people place far too little attention on context. And that's really kind of what we're talking about here. Like, they want to be an SEO, but they're not paying attention to the context of, there's an actual user that has an intent. They have a question that you need to be able to answer.
They're looking for something.
They're looking for. Okay, so what is the internet about, right? Like, how does that work? And not just the technical side of it, but like, why are people using it? Like, what are they there for? What are they trying to do? Like, the more you can pay attention to those contextual factors, you may not need to directly improve your skill set in SEO to become much more effective with what you already know about SEO. But now you're considering more of the context. You're able to deliver something that is a much higher value to whoever whatever project you're working on, whether it's your own or somebody else's as a client.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I thought about our conversation a lot yesterday, and it was actually, it's very eye-opening. Like it kind of solidifies some things that I think I've been seeing. And when I see people come in and ask like these deeper questions, it's like reassuring of the market for me, because I do see people that are trying to learn more. And I think I've kind of seen a lot of just like, hey, this is just a process to go get money from people and give them a little something or other, and here you go. I mean, I've seen
a lot of new SEOs look at it as like a biz op, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a biz op. It's literally like someone's livelihood in your hands type of thing, which is extremely important. Like, we're asking questions like, how do I index a page in Google? And there's SEOs asking these questions that are doing client work, right? That's happening. That shouldn't be happening, dude. No. You know what I mean? Like an SEO with a client should not be asking someone else how to index a page. I'm sorry, that's a bad thing. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's just always been a lot of that. And it's because we're such a new industry. I mean, we're 21 years old, really 20 years old, maybe, as it's been kind of started to be defined. Hell, I didn't realize I was doing it for like 10 years until I met certain people. And then they said, oh, dude, this is this. And there's this thing called a PBN. I'm like, oh, that's just the website, dude. And it links to one of my other websites. What are you talking about? That's a PBN. But really, though, like, it's actually kind of a cool time to be in it too, that we can sit here and look at the stories that are being told, like in the businesses that are being built. It's kind of neat. I was talking to a guy named Loren. He judges like the search awards for the international search awards, the US and like the French.
Which I did not know was a thing. So
yeah, I did. It's funny, man. I was talking to him, and it's because he's old school, and he comes back This is funny, dude. Like, this was great, dude. Right here. It's funny when people talk real things, there are only 15 people watching. When somebody talks about how to get a link, people show up in mass.
That's right.
It's funny. But so literally,
how to rank without links will get you freaking
bro.
viewers.
It's a great comment because dude that I'm talking to literally sees like almost every campaign that a real agency does in the world, right? And the guy's very, very smart. He's been around a very long time. I've met him recently, but I actually have started watching his podcast when he brings certain people on, because he said some things while I was just rotating in the back, and I heard some things. I'm like, dude, what? No, that's right. Like, what is he? What? And there's some things that I won't go into that I agree with that would offend certain people that I really do like, and they do things certain ways, and he just has certain views that I have, right? And he's been around a long time, so it's like that dude, like with what he talks about and the shows that he does, it's very similar to what we're doing, and it comes down to the fact that there's not a lot of people that get sent to him that. I'm not going to say this. Actually, I'm going to change this. I'm going to say something else because I'm not going to say that on the show. We'll go somewhere else. Let me cut that off. We're going to talk about, let's see, 24 hours. How can I get on the first page of Google in 24 hours?
Go for an easy term.
Index. Like, that's when you got to expand. Like you got to let go of concrete thinking and just look at, okay, what kind of things rank in 24 hours? You go to a press release. Those rank in 24 hours. A lot of times.
Dropping a link in GMB if you have access to them will get it indexed very quickly. So there's the potential to rank in 24 hours depending on the term.
Or you find something that's already ranking, and then you go and you black hat that thing, NFG style.
Or just tweak it without being black hat. You can see pretty good results by tweaking content within 24 hours.
Like a lot of stuff getting recrawled. It's amazing how quickly that stuff moves. And if you've got a well-built site, you can drop a new piece of content in there, and within a few days, a lot of times, get on page 2 or 1. If the site and the whole thing is built well, and that's one of the nice things with like looking more into the context of like, okay, well, how do you do that? Well, you might not have enough stuff built yet to be able to do that, with aside from doing some hackish, scamish, black hatter type stuff. But when you've got the understanding of this is how I put this entity together, and so when I drop a new piece of content that's really targeting like some money keywords, that stuff can pop within a week. Like I say, easily.
100%, dude.
It's easy not once you've have the stuff built.
Yeah,
but once you don't have the stuff built, it's a whole. You're playing a different game.
Another uphill battle.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, like I said, I just met that dude, and he
meets lots of dudes in clubs.
He shit tested me really good and told me SEO didn't work, dude. Like, you can't do SEO in Google and you can't do this in Google, until I called him on something that he said, and then the real conversations came out about SEO and stuff, and it was very interesting because he's doing the exact same stuff that we're talking about all the time. Like, every time I meet someone that is doing a really good job of SEO, no matter how they do that SEO, they're doing the same thing essentially, like, but just in their own little way, right? And that's why it's really important to just kind of build the skill set, man, because once you start to understand it more, like deeper, then it just starts to be very like, okay, this is the process, And then, like, for me, it got easier when I met Brad because he put it in processes instead of me just kind of floundering around and doing it the way I did it, And so,
to piggyback on what you just said, that's exactly why I'm, Mike and I have had a conversation about. That's why I'm in-house SEO for somebody else. Like, I actually have a job,
right?
Doing
and
SEO.
I told you I was
else.
Jealous yesterday.
Yeah, and you should be, because I love it. I love it.
It's kind of
it's your own boss. It's like, you're always your own boss, no matter what. You always have.
That's very true, dude.
You know, boss, whatever. Like, as long as you guys have like a proper alignment with what you're trying to accomplish, there's not that relationship tension that I think a lot of people probably feel when they're in a cubicle and they're just doing something that's kind of mindless and all
that's
that.
What's missing, though. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize.
Right. And so when you can kind of build either, I hate, well, the word culture just is used in a whole bunch of different.
Culture and brand are way overused.
Yeah. And I don't think people really understand what it is. But like an alignment of values and a commitment to make a difference, right? And improve things for yourself as well as others, as well as who they're working for. Like what the internet is a way for people to transact, right? And as an SEO, one of the things that we can do is to help people who are on the internet looking for a solution to their problem, find someone that can competently solve that problem, right? It's not just about ranking number 3 for money keyword. If that business isn't getting calls and making money, you have literally created no value. And
it all goes back to value creation.
Wind up continuing to make money with that venture. Right.
I've noticed in PPL networks, like where I'm just selling calls to a network and stuff, if you're sending solid calls to them, they will come crawling for more. Please build more. Please do this. Can you please build some more? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, I've got this new niche for you. I think you'll do really well in it. Okay, I'll take a look. And then I go look. Yeah, I can do that. So I start building. You know, it opens up doors when you provide value, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole thing. And it goes back just to looking at Google and how Google was built, is that they make their money by sending people away from themselves, right? So and if we kind of take that mindset that when we're out there and we're creating
bait and switch, I don't agree. They said they were going to do that, right? Then they decided not to.
Yeah, that is a good point.
They're keeping people on there.
That's a good point.
Pretty well.
But
I
know what you know. Here's the thing: like emulating Google is a key, 100%. No matter what type of SEO you're doing, white hat, if you're doing gray hat, you're spamming. Emulating what Google does in your business practice, in your marketing, is always a good tip. No matter what. I agree 100%.
Yeah, well, like Mike, you were even talking about like with Leo, right? And I've been talking to him a lot and huge fan. So I turned the Screaming Frog, right? It's another tool that we have. I turned Frog on some of the sites I know that he has, right? Even and I'm like, oh, like so much comes out of really you might need to dig a little deeper than you think to start.
If you go crawl, get a client, crawl a site, visualize that, and look at the pattern and the linking graph.
Yeah,
and you absolutely know if you need to do work or not.
The inlinks and outlinks and all that, and the anchor, like it's such a valuable tool.
Yeah.
And more often than not, when I mention it to people, they're like, no.
Well, that's because what people do with it, Fletch, is people literally, they'll crawl it and then they'll like filter like 404s and look for 404s, and that's just tech on it, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I said like the skill set.
That's all I use it for.
That's I was going to say.
That's the extent of my experience.
Dude, there's so many aspects of SEO, and if you don't do all of it, then freaking work with other people, you know, work in a shop that has everyone that does different things, because realistically doing all of it is a lot of freaking work, dude. I don't want to do it alone. I would never want to do it alone, man.
That's why anyone that comes to me that needs PPC, I'm like, no, you got to talk to this Corey Rose fellow. You know, he can take care of you there. I'm not doing that shit. Yeah, this Corey Rose fellow. He's a husband, daddy, protector.
Yeah.
All around badass. Yes.
I have a client with a 4,000 plus page, mostly flat website domain post he built over 14 years. It looks like this. Is there any hope of fixing this? Can it be ignored in favor of just building new, better optimized? We're working a couple right now, dude. No, you can't ignore issues. No, don't ignore issues.
Unless it's in an extremely easy niche that you can pop the keyword on a few times, run cog on it, and you're good. Then I don't fuck with the URLs. But if it's in a halfway, I'm not even going to say halfway competitive. It could be below halfway, and you're still going to need to fix it. 301s are your friend at that point. Consolidate, build up the pages that you need. Yeah.
I would just ask that you remember that the question you're asking is about someone's livelihood, and keep that in mind when you ask these questions. Can you do it, or should you do it? Like, really, look at that. Yes, you can, and you don't have to make that decision. Present that to the client and say, look, we can do this and try to patch it, but guess what? You might just tank and flatline in 3 months if they decide to do something, or we can fix it. And sometimes you have to break stuff to fix stuff. So it's a business decision at that point, and it should be on the client to make that business decision.
Like I look a lot of this stuff at my previous life, but still the skill set that I hold and the way I look at a lot of things is construction and mechanic stuff, right? When is a car totaled? Well, when it costs more to fix than to replace. Yeah. Okay. That's a concept you should keep in mind when you're looking at a project. Okay. When is it worth, you got a property and you're thinking about like rehabbing it, fixing it up and flipping it versus scraping the lot and starting again. And how much money difference is that going to be?
I used to watch all those flip shows, and it's crazy how often that they would just level the whole thing down to the
down. Leave the fireplace.
Down to the foundation.
Fireplace permits cost a crap ton.
Yeah.
In most places,
and then just build it back up.
Everything else
crazy
is going to be new,
and they would still make money. But that was what 2006, 7.
Yeah, it's still being done.
I bet you can do it now. Yeah.
Depends. You got to look at the property. You got to look at the cost. You got to look at how messed up things are, right? And how long it's going to take to go through and look at all those pages and figure out how to get them, grouped properly and clustered properly and siloed or whatever term you want to use to, really consider the context. Like, you've got to consider those things. Yeah. And if you don't, you're going to wind up in a situation where, like, as a contractor, you lose your ass. Oh, I didn't take the time to really know what was going on before I took the job and bid it this way.
There was a house in our neighborhood that got kind of hosed over by Corona. With the HOA, we had to have a certain percentage of houses in the neighborhood built by the initial contractor. We're past that point. So the few remaining lots that are there, they can use essentially any contractor as long as they go by HOA guidelines. Yeah. So this couple buys the plot of land or whatever, and goes out and farms out the contractors, gets 3 or 4 different quotes. One of them was the person that built every other house in the freaking neighborhood, which would make sense to me, but they weren't the cheapest. So they went with the absolute cheapest. Wow. And so the dude starts, owes, from what I hear, owes the masonry or whatever you would call it, built the foundation, 16 grand, never pays. There's about to be a lien on the house. Corona hits. So that puts everything in a hole, and then lumber shoots through the roof. So the initial shitty contractor did not foresee that. Yeah, so it's still not finished. They did finally put some walls up, but it was just a foundation for, I'd say, right around a year because of poor planning. Yeah. And that's another go with the cheapest SEO. You can't
you're gonna get what you pay for a lot of times. And if you're just starting, you don't know, right? And so that's like
you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, when I've worked with a lot of people who are just like brand new to the industry. All of us have been at one point brand new to this thing that we're doing. I'm like, before you take on a client, build your own stuff.
Yeah, BK SEO had a good question.
I want to get to BK before we go. I think it deserves an answer. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a great question.
All right, so eye-opening to a newbie, relatively new to SEO, 6 months. Do you recommend going after clients immediately? No results behind it, ranking your own stuff. My opinion is you have a business and you need to make money and you need to get turkey meat. And you should do what you have the ability to do and close and make sure. I learned while doing, and I'm not saying don't learn while doing. What I'm saying is make sure that
you should always be learning. So in effect, you're always learning by doing.
Yeah, my take on it is similar to what Mike said. Is like you are in business, and the king needs to eat. So get yourself some clients in there. But
boy, you're looking well fed.
Yeah, dang, shoot, Brad. Well, I'm not the one
always checking the dudes out.
I'm not the one training for a fight.
Yeah, that's not a fight. That's a bank robbery.
That's not a knife. This is
a
knife.
Yeah, I'll show him a knife. Yeah.
No, I'm up 12 pounds though. By the way.
Nice, dude. Looking.
So thanks, man. You know, you go out and you get money. You're fortunately, you know, BK SEO. I don't know who you are, but you're obviously connected to this crowd over here. I've got guys that I work with, you know, frequently that are brand new, and they're like, okay, how do I do this? Where do I get these kind of links? What do I? And I'm like, don't worry about that. You focus on getting good at closing deals. Get your pitch deck down. Get good at selling SEO. Watch these videos. Learn the ins and outs. Learn how to talk the language. You don't want to, you know, sit there and talk to a client who knows way more than you do about SEO. Just make sure you know 90% more than they do. Get good at closing, and then get in touch with somebody in this group who's going to say, look, here's what you can do. Here's what I can help with. Here's what you can do yourself. But at least you got the bottom line is being affected. You know, mama's happy. You're happy. You've got that, you know, that energy going, and then you go out and you use that to go get more clients or whatever. But by all means, go out and get you some clients like right away.
I would probably go for some lower hanging fruit clients too. You know, I don't want to go into locksmith first thing. I guess you would learn a lot quickly, but it's
jump in the deep.
It might end badly. Yeah,
really quickly. Like what I would also say, like to kind of point out is like, okay, if you can get clients, you can also get people to do the SEO for you.
Exactly.
Right.
White label.
Yeah, I've gotten clients myself, and then I've tried to, you know, wear all the different hats. And
you don't have to be
all
the
of
best
that stuff,
SEO.
but you just kind of you find your spot after a time, and if you're somebody who's, you know, knocking clients down, bringing them in, you're going to be able to get somebody really competent to fulfill that, and you make your money. Like like everybody here has said, and that's why I said, like, if you're going to go at this from like the trade perspective of being an SEO, I would recommend ranking your own sites before trying to get clients. But if you're in a position where it's like, dude, I'm getting clients now, like, how do I get them fulfilled? Okay, it's a different problem, but this business is about solving problems. So if you can get clients, there are tons of SEOs who don't.
They'll be chomping at the bit.
That would love to take some of the money to do a great job, and then you got your profit there. So,
imagine hiring Jordan Belfort, who knows nothing about SEO, the Wolf of Wall Street, to do your sales. You know, he could sell the shit out of it and just shovel it over.
I got a course from Belfort straight up, right? And we had him speak at our event in Orlando. I got to have dinner with him and, you know, meet him and stuff like that. That
3-hour talk went by like that. He's a fantastic
it was like it felt like it was 12 seconds. But it was a side note. That was a little I'm kind of cool because I met the guy. Anyway,
I want to address
he straight up said in that course that he had, don't sell SEO because it's too uncertain. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, selling, and this is what's really, this is a good comment to look at. So if you can promise something that's clearly easy to fill on, I have a caveat here that I think Brad and you guys will too, easy to fulfill on, that seems ideal too. Had one of those weeks where I promised 2 hours a day and I'm easily fulfilling that. So
I'm not promising my time to anyone.
Well, but see, here's the thing. What I was going to say is what we've done, Corey productize, we productize, everyone here is productizers, productizing, and the contracts that are the largest that we have sold, we did not sell SEO. We sold a product, and we did not sell time. We sold something very tangible that they could see that they were paying for this and getting this kind of return off of it, using SEO to fulfill that. So if you don't have the skill set yet to do it that way, and you don't have everything built, maybe time is a good thing. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? Like, I was wondering what you think. Is that if that's what you can offer as a product, I don't want to do it.
And the reason why the answer that I would say no is because nobody knows what you can do with 2 hours. What it would take somebody, an entire month to do, we could probably in this group do in an hour and a half of work. So what is my time, and like everybody else here? I guess not. My time is not worth that much. I guess probably
sexy time.
I'm here right now. What the
fuck? What you're doing, Corey?
Hour of my day. Yeah.
So I think if you start your business off with this as an employee, like you're nothing like most internet marketers have got themselves another job, not a business. So
if you're doing 2 hours a day, that means theoretically the absolute max amount of clients that you could have is 12, right? 2 times 12, 24. And that means you can't sleep, eat, do anything else. So I would do billable hours, just like a lawyer does. You're going to have billable hours. Okay, we track that. But are you really working that entire, what's up, Sonny boy?
Internet.
Are you going to be working that entire 2 hours? I'm not clocking in and clocking out for sure.
Yeah. Well, so I'll also then talk about my own personal experience. When I started this, I needed money.
Yeah.
And I went out and I got a job doing SEO.
I might take that.
I was working, 10 hours a week for one guy, 10 hours a week for another guy. The other time I was building my own stuff. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, that made the money.
You probably learned a lot working for actual agencies too. Yeah.
Right. And I was working one for an agency. So I got to work on a lot of different projects. One for one guy who had 2 big websites that needed help. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I just, clock in, do the whole screen time, so they can make sure I'm doing my stuff. But then once that was done, and I usually tried to do the 10 hours in like 2 days.
2 days.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the other 2 hours in 2 days. Well, now I got 3 days. I can work on my stuff. Right.
Yeah. And you're paid.
I'm getting some money coming in, building my skill set. And I was like, that was how I started. And then
I think Becker got started in an actual SEO agency as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think he
learned a lot from that.
If I'm not,
they promoted him to SEO manager because he's the only one that had ever actually built and ranked his own site in the whole SEO company. Yeah, exactly. It was the story that Becker told. And Becker's good at telling stories.
Yeah, he is. I like that guy.
He's fun to hang out with. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, so and Brent, hello. I know Brent who asked that question. So anyway, that's that.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I got distracted by a poem. He distracted me.
Was he reading you a poem?
He is.
A limerick.
Yeah, he knows what's going on, dude. He's like now he knows what's up. He knows that I'm streaming and he's starting to do it. That's funny. Well, I think we got the questions, and I hope people can index faster a little bit, or go learn how to index a little bit faster.
Links, Google Search Console,
better video,
entity. Yeah, exactly. All the above. If you really need to force it, that's it.
All righty. I will see you all later. Thank you, everyone in here, for being here, and
see you guys.
Talk later.
All right. Have a great and safe